Okay, so I just received my order from, I guess it's Bogart Manufacturing Incorporated. It's safety jack, and I ordered the Rennstand, Rennstand by SafeJack. And we're going to open it up. I want to see how well they packaged it. The only thing that I looked at the outside of this, the only thing that I'm seeing crushed is this. Everything else looks in order, just that corner. So I'm going to be doing a very comprehensive review of these jack stands, including opening them up to see how well they were packaged, to showing dimensions at different settings, showing thicknesses of the steel, and also I will be jacking up my car in all four corners, starting from one side and going to the next, so that you can see that. I've not seen that in any video. I've seen them all up, and I've seen one side put up, showing it put underneath the pinch point, the pinch weld, but I've never seen all four done. So I'm going to do that, and these things are very expensive, and I'm going to try to do a video that I wish I would have seen, before you buy something this expensive. So today's date is November the 19th, 2018. So here's what I ordered. I ordered 4 of the 18M-RS3, which is their current model jack stand, and it comes with just a generic adapter. Then I also ordered 4 Honda adapters, the 18M-P14. You have to excuse me, I've got sniffly nose, I've got a little bit of a cold. So there you see the Rennstand by Jackstand, 4 of those. Then you see next the Ford Honda Rennstand jack pad adapter. And of course then it shows shipping. So to show you what these things cost, they're very expensive. They're $125 a piece, times 4 is $500. The adapter for the Honda was $19 a piece. That's $76 for the 4. They gave me a 10% discount since I bought all this at the same time. That's subtract $57.60, and we cannot forget shipping from FedEx, $42.73. And here is the grand total for the items stated: the 4 stands, the 4 Honda adapters, minus the 10%, plus the $42.73 for shipping. $561.13. So you get some stuff from Jack Stand here, some stickers. Let's take a quick look. Well, they got them in there. So you get some stickers, some small ones, some big ones, some literature. Looks like a catalog. Looks like they got some interesting stuff here. So they get you a catalog for 2018. And what is this? Some other stuff. It looks like for boating. So this is inside. Okay, there's two boxes in here. Looks like. You can see they've got one large FedEx box. and a second box. So here you see looks like they've got, I'm not sure how many's in here, they've packaged, because I ordered 4, there's 2 per 2 legs, so there must be, I would say, 2 sets in this one. Well, as suspected, that one box has 2 sets of jack stands, so they sure know how to pack them, because it's unbelievable how well they got them in there. I don't know if I could have done as good of a job. So these are the components for one jack stand. Your 2 legs, your centerpiece. This is the adapter for the Honda, the 18M-P14. And this package contains the standard adapter for a pinch weld, your 4 pins, a large washer, I have to see what all that's for, and probably directions so you don't screw up. Okay, so here's everything with the packaging taken off. They did a hell of a good job, I will say that. Everything is in good order. I was a little concerned about these not being the same as the ones that used to be the older design that were red and had a tube on the bottom, and I thought, boy, these, but you know, once I got these are pretty hefty, so I'm not too worried. But so here you have the components for one jack, for one of your Rennstands. Obviously the jack, then it comes, when it's packaged, it already has your upright in there. So that's the way it would be right there, like that. This top pin would go into this, and then these are your height adjustments. And it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 adjustments, height adjustments you can make with this. From what they said, this was all laser cut. I'm assuming this 1/8" material. So here's what it looks like. This is all one piece. Then bent down there, and then obviously a lasered safe jack. And I'll get the thicknesses of this stuff. I'll make those, and we'll see what that is. This is the cross member. Again, excuse me. Like I said, I've got a little bit of a cold, and so simply knows it's cold out here today. This is the centerpiece. This is hefty, as you can see, pretty robust. This is what would go on the jack. Then your adapters go on here, and it would lift the car. This is the standard adapter that comes with the Rennstand. It's an 18M-P04 for a pinch weld. Then this is the one of the 4 adapters I bought extra, the 18M-P14, which for my Honda. Not sure that this won't work, but I thought, you know what, let me get the whole damn thing at the same time, so we save time. This is a spacer. From what I can see, they said you'd put that on there if if this was touching. You can put that on there. In fact, I might keep that on there. I don't know that I need it. The instructions said something. I looked at it briefly. The instructions here said if something was hitting. But I'm not sure that it's not a good idea just to keep that on there. But we'll see. And then here are the 4 pins that they give you. And as I said, you'd put them in here like this. And that would hold that. And then also, this part here would receive into here, and that pin would go on there. Pretty impressed so far. I'm a picky person, real picky. And I had to think about this. When you're talking $500 for 4 of these, it's a lot of money. When you look at it, just a jack stand, nothing more than a jack stand. And I've got several different, probably 3, 4 different decent styles. And just your normal run-of-the-mill jack stand. And so I really had to give it some thought. And I know I called the company several times, and did a little research, and I thought, you know, you can't put a price on safety. So I thought, let me give these a try. I liked the idea. It made sense. And by the way, just so that you know, I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm just doing this to help other people out. Should they be interested in buying a stand like this, I want them to be able to see exactly how it's built, what components you get, and actually see it in operation. Because that's the kind of guy I am. When I research something, I would have liked to seen something where you can actually kind of see the components. See how it's made, see how it works. Again, it's a lot of money for what it is. But again, if it does the job, then you can't really, how can you put a price on it? Because again, you've got the safety of your body and the car. Even if you're not under the car and a normal jack were to slide out from under it, $500 would be nothing for damage on a vehicle today. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get some dimensions of some of these components, just so that you know how these are built. Okay, here's one of the locking pins, 372 thousandths, and they have a 9,000 pound shear strength each. And here's that spacer, 186 thousandths. Now this is the Honda adapter, the bottom side, the pin that would go into the cross piece that you see right there at the top. That piece right there where it goes into there. Now, I'm sure it's a 1/2 inch diameter. I measured the other one, the generic one right there that comes with it. I got 5/12, so it's probably this coating that's on there. So basically you're talking a 1/2 inch diameter. Okay, this is the Honda adapter, top side, 248. Okay, this is the cross member, 191. And this is your upright that goes in the center of the jack stand. You'll see it right here on the immediate left. That's a piece that would go, slides up and down. Okay, and this is the leg, the upright at the base of the stand, 125 thousandths, and they have a black powder coated finish. And this is the thickness of the packing material that came with the Honda adapter. I just wanted to show this, the plastic, I just wanted to show this because it's fairly heavy. It's not just some thin plastic, so I was very happy with it. And this is the thickness of the packing material around the 4 pins that come with each jack stand. So let's take a look. I thought I'd do a view so you can see how these are constructed. You've got it welded around the base. And back here. So what it looks like, yeah, they've got tabs built into this piece that looks like it goes back here. Either it's a tab extending down from this that goes into these areas here that are open that you can see, and then they weld it to the back side. Now again, this is an assumption that that when this is done, that little tabs are put into it, so it sits down into it, that are cut into here, and then they put the welds on the back side. Quite interesting. These jack stands are rated at 3 tons each. So something I found interesting, this piece right here is the sliding piece that goes into the leg, that goes up and down for your adjustment to the height. This big piece here, of course, is the cross member that goes between the 2 legs. And let me show you something here. So here you can see that I'm moving the piece up and down. But if you just push it all the way down where it naturally sets, like that, I thought there'd be a little slop in the hole locations between this piece and the top piece where you'd have to pick it up and down to put it in. But now I found this to be the case on both sides of this unit. On this side and on the other side, what you do is you push it all the way down to where this piece naturally seats into the top. The hole's already perfectly located. You don't have to screw around. You put the pin in there just like that. I just thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't anticipate that. I thought maybe I'd have to pick this up just a little bit. You know, sometimes you got to just screw around and get the location. But like I said, with it just naturally all the way down, the pin sits in there, locates perfect. Now, I've only done this one so far. I haven't done the other three, but I'm assuming they're all manufactured the same. So I really like that. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start out at the tallest position, and I'm going to get some dimensions from the top of this, where the pinch weld would set in, this piece here, from that point to the ground, and then I'm going to get the distance approximately, give or take, between the two bases at the bottom. Now, one thing you'll notice, there are two holes in these stands. There's one here and there's one here where I've got the pin. I'm going to use the top hole in the stand, not the bottom hole, and we'll use the top hole. There's 3/4 of an inch difference center line between this hole and that hole, but I'm going to use the top hole when I adjust this up and down. Right now we're at the pin that goes, that'll make this the tallest. So here you see what I'm talking about, those two holes. I will always be using this top hole when I give my dimensions. And there's 3/4 of an inch difference center line between this hole and that hole. So at the setting that you have with this pin here, this hole goes here. So with the highest setting, right here where my thumb is, right here, you have 16 3/4 inches from the ground to the base of that. Now that's using, in all these, I'm going to be using the spacer. 16 3/4 inch from there to the ground, and 15 1/8 approximately between, again, give or take, between the very bottom. Dropping down one more hole, we have a height from the ground to there as 15 1/4. The distance in between, approximately 14 9/16. Going down one more, we have 13 3/4 from the ground to here, and we have approximately 13 3/4 between the legs. And finally, at the very bottom, the very last hole that you could use, I guess you call it the first one going up, then the very last one here, is going to be 12 3/8 from the ground to there, and approximately 13 inches in between. So now I'm just going to show you the slide action of this. So it's got the minimal of slop. You'd expect this much so it would slide, but there's not a lot of slop in there. It works just fine. So I thought I'd show you here. We have this set up with the jack underneath the stand, and the height from here to the ground is 12 3/8, and the distance in between is 13 inches. So as I showed in the previous example, it's with using the top pin in the leg and all the way down. This goes to show that this Duralast 5,000-pound aluminum steel floor jack will slide under there even with these handles. There is no problem with this there. So should you want it at this lowest of settings, this would easily work. And if one had to, you could always take the handle off, and would be fine. So now I've got that just a hair down, so we'll just jack it up a little bit, and you can see how it's lifting it up. So if we were doing this with your car, the car would be sitting down in this top part here, holding pressure. The legs would be off, and you'd have a predetermined height already set here. You'd already know, once you tried it, where you want this at. Then this would be off, the other leg would be off. Once you got this high enough, you bring the leg up in there, put the pin in on both sides, and then just bring the jack down. And I will be showing examples of that on my Honda CR-V. Now let me compare this jack stand that I have on the right, which is I bought specifically when I bought my CR-V because I needed something that was shorter. My other jack stands were taller at the lowest position and didn't work out well with the CR-V being shorter to the ground. The pickups that I had obviously were taller. Now the distance in the base, front to back, is 9 inches, as is the safe jack. But one of the things that I like really about the safe jack is that it's got a solid footing here, whereas this other jack is notched out and has 4 points that hit the ground, and it isn't really solid. Now, one of the things you could say is this would make it more stable because you don't have the full contact with the ground all the way around, which I would agree. But the way this is designed, it doesn't do that. So that I like, plus the fact that it's wider this way. Now again, there's nothing wrong with this jack. It's just not, I find, as appropriate with the CR-V. And so that's why when I was looking for new jacks, looking for something with a wider base but shorter, I really wasn't able to find anything until I found out about the safe jack. Okay, and this is what I was talking about with the wider base here and these points here, the 4 contact points to the ground. With this one versus the one longer contact point, here you would have 2 contact points. With the safe jack here you have 4. But I like the wider base here that would carry a load better across a distance than having 4 contact points. If you were in somewhat of a little bit not quite as hard a ground, say you were on asphalt or maybe hard packed stone, I would prefer to have the safe jack footprint than this. But again, this jack works well. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so this is the my 2014 Honda CR-V. It's the middle version. I believe it's the EX, and I'm very picky with it. I take very good do all my maintenance. So I'm damn near at 80,000 miles, just a couple 180,000. I rotate my tires every 10,000, and my oil every 5. So every second oil change I rotate tires. So today's a nice fall day, and I'm going to use the safe jack, the Rennstands, to jack the car up, change the oil, and rotate the tires. Okay, before I get started, I do want to show you the differences between the 2 pads that you get. Now right now I am on the right rear of my vehicle. Okay, we do the passenger side. And on the Honda CR-Vs, and I can't speak for all years, but I think the newer ones are like this too. You have your tire, then you have your mud flap guard. You've got this part here. This part that dips down, that is what Honda wants you to use to jack up and hold your vehicle. So let's take a look at the standard head that they send. It's the 18M-RS3. and it goes like that. Now that does fit. Just let me see if I can get up there. That just barely makes it. I mean, it does, the width is okay. But I am glad that I ended up buying the Honda one, which is wider. But that does go. Now let's take a look at the Honda part adapter, 18M-P14. Much nicer. It allows a little more slop here, which I like. And it comes up a little taller, as you can see. So one other thing pertaining to these pads, these adapters, I did talk to Kathy at Safe Jack, and I was wondering if I should put like a rubber in between here. And she said that that was something that they had mulled around and determined it wasn't needed, so I'm not going to do it. But I was going to cut some like rubber belting and stick it in there. But we're going to do it without any of that. I'm going to start with the left rear of the vehicle and then go to the right rear of the vehicle. Now that's the first time I've used it, so this is the very first time. So getting used to it, it'd be very simple. But again, this is the first time that I used it. Now I'm using the, I'm going to have to lift it up more, but I'm going to do them all in stages because I don't really know if I want to jack it all up to a height right now until I get used to these. So I've got them in the, I've got the pin in the topmost part of the base, and then I've got the second hole in the upper part. So again, I'm going to put them all up at like this and then go to a second stage and lift it higher. Now again, I don't know if that's required, but just the first time doing it, I'm going to do it that way. In here I'm just showing the pins that I'm going to use starting out, the locations. Since I'm on the right side of the vehicle, I'm going to go to the front now, lift it up. I feel pretty confident that I could have gone higher initially with these jack stands, but since I'm doing it like this, because then I'll show you how I'm going to lift them up and put them to a higher level once all four are up. Okay, so one thing I'm doing here is hitting this front mud flap, so I've got to bring it over a little bit. That's why it's hitting. Got to go up higher. I left that jack there because I want to take a look at something. I'm going to take a look at that front mud flap, somewhat in the way. Now, as you can see here, that's not setting worth a damn because of this front mud flap that's on here. And you can see that's not on there very well at all. I'm going to change something. Yeah, that's not good. So I think what I'm going to do is lift it back up, take the jack stand back down and put it on a slight angle. We'll give that a try because I don't like this at all. Okay, so I've got this on an angle. The adapter's fully on the pinch weld. As you can see, I have to have it on an angle because of this mud flap. Now, one of the things I could do, I'm going to try it this way first, is I probably could take this screw, loosen it, and pull back on it. The screw right here. But let me just try this once and see how this works. But again, this will be something for people to consider when you're buying these, depending where your pinch point is, or where your pinch weld, or whatever they call that the manufacturer of your vehicle wants it to go. Now, if you notice in that last clip, you'll see that as I was raising the front, the rear of the vehicle went up. That's why I put that camera at that location. I wanted to see how things were going on, and I viewed the clip, and you'll see that it went up the rear when the front went up. So I am glad that I'm doing this in stages. I wouldn't have wanted to go too high initially. Again, it's a learning curve for me, having never used these. I'll know where to start out at, which I think where I'm at now is good. Then I can always go up 2 more. But I'm not sure if people have noticed this with the CRVs, if they've given any feedback to SafeJack. But something to be careful of here is when you do jack it up on the same side, make sure the other side goes back in, that the pinch weld goes into the receiver properly, which in this case it did. Okay, that appears to have worked. Now that I'm aware of that issue on the other side, what I did is I took the screw off on the front side of this. Now you'll see that I'm hitting right now that tire. When it's turned straight, obviously it's hitting. But I took the screw out, which allowed me to get on this pad to pinch weld properly. So there's the same on both sides, so I'm right in there. I don't really like taking screws out all the time, especially with this plastic shit. I don't know the way they build cars today. But this is allowing me to get straight on. So any of you CRV owners that happen to have these front mud flaps, here's the issue you're going to run into. Now I suppose I could come back a hair, but I'm going to try it right where it's at. I've got it right to where it's up in there now. I raised the jack, so it's not going to pinch anymore there. I could cheat over a little bit. Probably wouldn't hurt a thing. I certainly wouldn't want this off. Maybe if it was no more than a 1/4 inch past this. I definitely want it preferred the way it is right now. Okay, so let's give this a try now. So one of the things that I'm doing, and it's just a matter of remembering, I got to lift it high enough. I'm not going high enough, so I need to go initially high enough and put them in there. But again, this is just a learning curve. First time I've used these. Alright, well, since it's lifting the rear again, I think probably again, and I don't know, I didn't see anything on their website, maybe I should just lift the one side at the same time. So now I'm going to go ahead and raise this up 2 more because it needs to get off the ground further. I'm going to do the same sides. I'm going to do the one side, the driver's side, and then come back to the rear and see how that works. Gotta go higher. Alright, forgot to do this side. I think I can do this side. Lift that up. So this is quite interesting. I got the front up on the highest point it can go. And as you see here in the back, car's up. It's completely off. So probably do each side at one time, like I said here. So let me go ahead and get this up then, same. This is why I'm doing all four sides. I haven't seen one damn video that shows this. So you don't really know what to expect. I'm not used to lifting a vehicle. I'm normally lifting it from the front or the rear and putting jack stands on. And that's how I've done this prior. You saw the jack stands earlier in the video clip that I used. I just figured this would be safer. Another thing is you'll notice the jack stands are out of the way, more or less, from front to back, which is nice. You can get up under there. So this is at its highest setting right now. This is as high as this thing will go. You'll see it. It's all the way off. Now I'm going to go to the other side, lift it up, and see how she goes. Then I'm going to rotate my tires and change the oil. I'm going to start from the front this time. Wasn't sure if some of the, there it is. Okay, so if somebody has a video or has seen a video where they do a vehicle with these safe jack Rennstands, all four sides, I'd like to see it. I haven't seen one yet. That's why I did this. It clearly shows some of the issues you might run into that you need to be careful of, and when you're jacking the vehicle. You can clearly, you saw where when I had the vehicle up on the jack stands initially and I go to lift it up, it lifted the back side up too with it. So something I'm not used to. Normally, you know, when you're putting on the same axle, the same rear or front, you just don't see that. And now I'm going to go to the rear tire here first, closest to the camera. I'm going to push on the top side of the tire. Then I'm going to go to the front and push on the top side of the tire. See how stable this is. Okay, I'm at the rear right now. Pushing on the tire. Let me go to the front. All right, let's check the driver's side. We're going to go to the rear, then the front. Going to the front. Okay, I'm not quite sure what to think. I like the idea. They're well built. I'm wondering if the legs need to be a little wider at the base. I think everything else is fine. I did notice that when I would pick up one side, maybe the other side, when it relieved tension, would slide a little bit over from where it was. And even on the opposite side that I was lifting, I noticed. I went around and looked, and it had moved a little bit. So I'm not sure what to make of that. But we'll see here. So I'm going to go ahead, change my rotate my tires, change the oil, let it start it up a little bit, let it get warm, change the oil, and then we'll let her down. Okay, I've got all the tires off. They're in their respective spots to go back on. What you want is Honda, at least on the CR-V, this is the first Honda I've owned. They want the rear tire to the front, same side. So just take, like the one here you see, the left side, you take the left rear and put it to the left front. Right rear, take it to the right front. Now the fronts, they want you to take to opposite sides. So the left front goes to the right rear. The right front goes to the left rear. And I've never had any problems with my tires. They're wearing good. And then I keep the maximum tire pressure, 44 pounds, what it says on the tire. I monitor that to 44 pounds and rotate every 10,000. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the oil. Okay, so as I said earlier, you see this slid back. When I lifted the other side, I had this centered on that pinch weld. So the question becomes now, I'm going to take these off. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to, since this side, the right side, I have that on an angle in the front. We're looking at the back. We're looking at the right rear pinch weld. I think I'm going to lift it up, remove both legs, and set her down. Now the other side is fine, so I'm going to give this a try. Okay, I'm going to lift the front. I'm going to take all the legs off. This is the right side of the vehicle, and let her down. See what happens. Well, I guess I won't be able to do that. Let me get the wrong one here. Guess I won't be able to do that. The front isn't coming undone. let this down. I'm going to go to the other side and make sure nothing shifted. Actually, it did. So now what I did is I took the left rear jack out. I'm going to let it down slow, and it's going to be on the front too. Go to the other side, look at the front. It's still on there. I'm going to let this down slow. Go to the other side. Car is down on the ground fully. So I got to tell you, as far as that front is with the front splash guards, I don't like that. It doesn't work very well with the splash guard. The other one where I pulled the bolt out, I'll show you, kind of bent the front a little bit. That is a definite issue that I don't like. I'm not sure if anybody's ever done that. Did they get any feedback? Did nobody care? I don't know whether Rennstand ever got any feedback from anybody, but that's not good. So here's what I'm talking about. If I screw that back in, it's open up there. When it was forced forward, it must have taken a set up there. Yeah, don't like that at all. That is a definite issue right there with where you have to put this. I don't know. Then you're talking about pulling these out. So I'm not sure what to do there. One thing I'd like to see is to have these longer here, wider. These are 9 inches, maybe something on the order of 12, 14 inches, a little bit more this way. And One thing I did notice, you know, once you get out here tall, you get some wobble, so then everything has to kind of settle down, settle into where it needs to be. But, and as for the front, I'm not sure how you handle that with the, other than taking off the splash guard, which I don't really want to do. You're just adding a whole nother thing to the process, which, you know, it really isn't something I want to do. So one thought is what I did on the other side, turning it on an angle. That didn't work out too bad, actually. And by doing that on an angle like I did, you still was able to get the jack in under it. And that's where I would like to see these legs longer, these feet longer. I think that would add to some stability, and that would probably take care of that issue. So I'm going to send a link to them there at Safe Jack. Let them know what I saw. Get any feedback. Did anybody else notify Safe Jack? Are they aware of that? And you know, see what the deal is. Because everything else, you know, I'm pretty happy with. I mean, I think they're designed great. They're heavy. I don't think they need to, as far as I see it, I'm not an engineer, I don't see them having to change anything. But making these longer here would help take care of the issue if you have the splash guards in the front. Especially now with my Honda CR-V. I don't know about any other Hondas. I'm assuming they're all about the same spacing. I don't know, but with the CR-V, that is definitely an issue. This is the top of the Honda adapter. I definitely, after using this, would not want any rubber in here. I definitely want this to kind of be where things can move around, where the rubber might hinder that. So this proved to me that I don't want any rubber in here. I think it's fine just the way it is. Don't change it. Okay, another thing that I'm going to check with Rennstand, Safe Jack, is do I want this? Because this, and I don't know that that really was an issue. I initially like it because it turns and you won't get any drag if you had metal to metal. You can see here some witness points where it kind of took a little of the paint just from the weight of the vehicle and moving around. So I think that I would want that. I don't know that there's any advantage of doing it like this, but I will check and see what they have to say about that. But again, when I did this, I used that spacer. Well, in conclusion, what do I think? I think they're an excellent idea. I think they're very well built. And I believe the specs were almost 15 pounds per stand, so they're not lightweights. Certainly well built, excellent idea, and I don't know, like I said, I'll contact Safe Jack. I was talking to Kathy there, she was real nice. Tell her what I think, see if those bottoms should be a little wider, and I think if they were, to speed the process, again it took time today because shooting a video back and forth, and you know, if I was right at it, it wouldn't have taken as long as it is. And again, I wanted to be careful just starting out. I've got some other ideas too here, so there may be a part 2 here.